As parents, as educators, we've all been there. You see a kid you love, just brimming with potential, but they seem stuck, frustrated with learning, totally unmotivated, and it leaves you with this feeling of helplessness, wondering, what more can I possibly do?
And then you hear it. I can't do this. This is pointless. It's that familiar cry of frustration. It's the sound of a student feeling so overwhelmed that they slam their notebook shut, and in doing so, they slam a door on their own learning. It's a scene that plays out in thousands of homes and classrooms every single day.
But this is where we can flip the script. What if, instead of pushing harder and demanding more, we just pause for a second to understand what's really going on inside their head? What if the path forward isn't about pressure, but about empowerment?
To help us explore this path, we're going to be leaning on some incredible information provided by Amex Pass, the Mexican Association of Parents of Gifted Children. And together, we're going to discover that unlocking a child's potential isn't about some magic formula. It's about an approach that blends science with a whole lot of empathy.
Okay, let's dive in. To find the solution, we first have to understand the problem from the inside out. What is actually happening in a student's brain when they feel like they just can't take any more?
Well, the difference is just staggering. On one hand, you have stress, which literally causes brain cells to shut down. It makes it harder to retain information and almost impossible to think clearly. But on the other hand, a stimulated and crucially a safe environment does the exact opposite. It expands those neural connections, opening the floodgates for creativity and flexible thinking.
And that right there is the key. You see, it's impossible to stimulate a brain that's already stressed out. Before you can plant any seeds of knowledge, you have to pull out the weeds of anxiety. So let's start by building that safe haven.
This metaphor changes everything. Our job isn't to be a thermometer, just reflecting and reacting to the frustration in the room. No, our job is to be the thermostat. We are the ones who set the temperature, creating a climate of calm, trust, and safety.
So how do we actually do that? Well, it breaks down into 3 simple steps. First, validate their feelings. Something as simple as, I get it, it's okay to feel frustrated, is huge. Second, make it normal to ask for help. Maybe you create a routine like, ask 3 before me. And finally, you help them shift their focus only to the things they can actually control.
And that idea of focusing on what's controllable is the whole point of this amazing tool, the circle of control. Its real power is helping a child pause and change the question from, why is this happening to me, to, okay, what can I do about this? That simple shift in perspective gives them their power back.
All right, so once the environment is safe and the anxiety starts to fade, the ground is fertile. Now, and only now, is it time to ignite that spark of curiosity that every single kid is born with.
Let's stick with our garden metaphor for a second. It's not enough to just pull the weeds, right? A garden needs to be actively watered and nurtured. So, the question becomes, how do we feed that natural desire to learn that sometimes feels like it's gone missing?
Well, it really comes down to concrete actions. We can connect lessons to their actual life, like linking old poetry to the music they listen to today. We can get their hands dirty with drawing or building things. We can model our own enthusiasm for learning, because that stuff is contagious. But most of all, it's about injecting joy and wonder into every little opportunity.
This real-life example from a teacher just says it all. Math suddenly stopped being some abstract problem on a worksheet and became a high-stakes adventure. And the effect was electric. All of a sudden, everybody in that room wanted to be a pirate mathematician. That's the power of making learning relevant and fun.
Okay, so we've created a safe refuge, and we've lit that spark of curiosity. The final step is absolutely critical. We need to give them the tools to build their own success, so they can become confident, independent learners for life. And this is where a key tool comes in, metacognition. It's a big word, but it's a simple idea. It's the ability to think about your own thinking. It's that moment a student goes from being a passenger in their own education to being the pilot, consciously choosing the best strategies for how they learn.
And this leads to a fundamental shift in mindset. You see, the goal isn't just note-taking, which is really just a passive act of copying stuff down. The real goal is sense-making, actively transforming the information, summarizing it in your own words, connecting it to other ideas,
even drawing it out. It's an active process of construction.
Now, this is the million-dollar question for so many parents and teachers, isn't it? How do we give each child the specific support they need without making them feel singled out, different, or somehow less than their peers?
The answer is so perfectly captured in what's called the Band-Aid lesson. Think about it. You wouldn't give a Band-Aid to someone with a broken arm, would you? Of course not. True fairness in learning isn't about equality, which is giving everyone the exact same thing. It's about equity, giving each person the specific tool they need for their specific challenge, whether that's extra time, an audiobook, or a calculator.
So, to wrap up our journey here, it all starts with the neuroscience, with understanding the real impact of stress. From there, we build an emotional refuge. On top of that foundation, we ignite their innate curiosity. And finally, we equip them with the tools they need to take charge of their own growth.
This explainer has given you the map. So now, the question isn't what to do, it's where to start. Think about one small action, one single seed of support. Will it be validating a moment of frustration, sharing a story, or maybe just asking them what they need? The first step is yours to take.